sometimes it's just been so natural to us, we don't realize that we're, maybe a strong way to say it is we're cursing our future. You can curse your future or you can bless your future, so be careful with it.
Did you know that things are not going well for Pastor Joel Osteen? Scandals, controversies, and controversial decisions are shaking your reputation. Before you find out all the details, subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications bell so you don't miss any revealing videos. Let's check out what's really going on with Joel Osteen. So let's get started. At the age of 19, Joel made a decision that would change his life. Instead of continuing at the Faculty of Communication, he preferred to leave his studies and work next to his father. Thus, in 1982, he began to take care of the television area of Lakewood Church. The project was modest but had a bold goal: to bring the message of the faith to millions of homes across the country. For 17 years, Joel fully devoted himself to this work. He produced, edited, and directed each program, spending hours in front of the tapes, choosing images, adjusting sounds, and cutting excerpts from sermons. Over time, he realized that this silent work was also an apprenticeship. In editing hundreds of sermons, he absorbed the way his father communicated hope, faith, and emotion to the public. Even so, Joel had no interest in preaching. His father, John Osteen, constantly encouraged him to rise to the pulpit, but he always refused. Shyness and fear of the spotlight kept him firmly behind the scenes. But on January 17, 1999, everything changed. After much urging, Joel preached his first sermon. 6 days later, on January 23rd, tragedy struck: the sudden death of John Osteen. When John Osteen passed away in 1999, Joel found himself faced with an immense responsibility. With no preaching experience, he became senior pastor of Lakewood Church, which then had about 6,000 members. It was a reluctant lead. Joel still carried the insecurity of someone who had spent his life behind the scenes. However, fate pushed him to the center of the stage. Surprisingly, the audience responded enthusiastically. Over the next 5 years, the church experienced impressive growth. From 6,000 faithful, it began to receive between 25,000 and 30,000 people in its weekly services. The secret was not only in the charisma, but also in the way Joel communicated his message. He decided to double the television budget, investing in prime time and buying billboard space throughout Houston. The media strategy worked. Joel and Lakewood's image quickly spread across the United States. His message also attracted attention. Instead of focusing on sin or judgment, Joel preached hope, encouragement, and optimism. His sermons were simple and uplifting, reaching people who had previously felt alienated from the faith. On this basis, he made a bold promise: to preach to 100,000 people every weekend. In the early 2000s, Joel Osteen made a decision that would forever change the history of Lakewood Church. In 2003, the congregation leased a Compact Center, the former gymnasium of the Houston Rockets basketball team, for 30 years at a cost of $12 million. The space was huge and carried symbolism, from a small feed store in 1959 to a nationally renowned sports arena. The transformation of the site required unprecedented renovation. Almost $95 million were invested, something that today amounts to about $158 million. The project resulted in an impressive structure: 5 floors, indoor waterfalls, Moderna broadcast studios, and more than 200,000 square feet of area. Everything was designed to welcome crowds and take Joel's message to even more homes. On July 16, 2005, the official opening took place. More than 16,000 people packed the space, while millions watched on television. The event marked a new chapter for the church, cementing it as the largest in the United States. Joel's vision came true, and in 2010, Lakewood would definitely buy the building for $7.5 million, sealing that historic achievement. While consolidating Lakewood Church in Houston, Joel Osteen expanded his presence beyond the walls of the former Compact Center. Between 2004 and 2017, he built a real media empire, taking his message to practically every corner of the planet. On television, it reached 92% of American households, with an estimated weekly audience of 10 million people. But Joel was not limited to the United States. Its programming began to be broadcast in more than 100 countries, translated and dubbed into different languages. This international expansion cemented his name as one of the world's most influential religious leaders. Success, however, required heavy investment. In 2017, the annual media budget reached $25 million, used to ensure presence in primetime TV. In addition, he diversified his platforms. It launched a station of its own on the Sirius XM radio service, bringing its voice to drivers and listeners across the United States. Another highlight was the Night of Hope events, held in large stadiums, gathering tens of thousands of people in evenings of music, prayer, and messages of encouragement. The strategy was clear. Keep a positive, simple, and hopeful message, always focused on inspiring. In October 2004, Joel Osteen took a decisive step away from the pulpit and the cameras. He released his first book, Your Best Life Now. The impact was immediate. The work has sold more than 4 million copies worldwide and has remained for an incredible 200 consecutive weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. It was the beginning of a publishing phenomenon that would overcome the barriers of faith. In the following years, Joel established himself as one of the most widely read Christian authors in Moderna. He has written more than 15 books, of which at least 7 have become New York Times bestsellers. His written messages followed the same tone that charmed millions in his sermons: simple, positive, and hopeful language. Success also brought extraordinary profits. His second major release, 2005's Become a Better You, earned about $13 million in royalties alone. These figures put Joel in the select group of religious leaders who have managed to turn books into real financial empires. The cultural impact was enormous. His titles were not limited to religious audiences. They have become mainstream works read by businessmen, celebrities, and ordinary people in search of motivation. Between 2013 and 2019, Joel Osteen turned his message into a powerful fundraising machine. One of the pillars of this model was the Night of Hope tour, held in arenas throughout the United States. Tickets cost about $15, and even with the affordable price, the numbers were impressive. More than 20,000 people at each event. In 2019, the format expanded internationally, reaching places like Wembley Arena in London in front of delighted crowds. In addition to services and events, Joel began to be in demand for lectures and conferences. Each presentation could bring in between $100,000 and $200,000, also cementing him as a high-impact motivational speaker. Lakewood Church merchandising also became an important part of this gear. Books, CDs, clothing, and even gift items were sold through the official church door, reinforcing the Osteen brand in different formats. On social media, his influence grew even more. Facebook, Instagram. By the end of the decade, Joel amassed more than 25 million followers on Facebook, 10 million on Twitter, and 5 million on Instagram. Thus, it united traditional and digital media to expand its global presence and strengthen its image. The story of Joel Osteen cannot be told without talking about his family. In 1985, during a visit to a jewelry store in Houston, he met Victoria Aloff. 2 years later, in 1987, the two married, beginning a partnership that would go beyond the confines of the home. Victoria would become co-pastor of Lakewood Church and, like Joel, would also make a name for herself as a best-selling author. His personal trajectory is remarkable. From a simple saleswoman, she became one of the most recognized pastors in the United States. In 2003, she founded a women's ministry, which over the years has reached thousands of people annually with messages of faith, self-esteem, and encouragement. The couple also built a family. Jonathan was born in 1995 and Alexandra in 1998. Both grew up surrounded by the visibility of the church and their parent media empire. Still, they found their own space inside Lakewood. In the new generation, the children followed the spiritual path. Jonathan excelled as a worship leader and preacher, while Alexandra went on to use her musical talent to inspire crowds. Thus, the Osteens turned the faith into a family legacy, prepared to cross generations. One of the most striking and also most controversial points of Joel Osteen's ministry is his adherence to the so-called prosperity gospel, also known as the word of faith. This current preaches that by firmly believing, declaring positive words, and maintaining a posture of trust, the faithful can receive not only spiritual, but also material blessings. Joel often reinforces this view in his messages. For him, God wants people to live well, without debt, with health and prosperity in all areas of life. This philosophy, optimistic and motivating, has won millions of followers who have found in it a simple answer to the challenges of everyday life. But at the same time, it became the target of severe criticism. Many theologians claim that Osteen distorts the essence of the Christian gospel, turning it into a Christianity without a cross. The almost non-existent focus on topics such as sin, hell, or repentance is often pointed out as a serious omission. Its critics call this style cotton candy gospel, sweet, light, and easy to consume, but lacking the depth needed to sustain a solid faith. Still, Joel's positive appeal continued to draw crowds and expand his influence. Joel Osteen's public image, as a charismatic pastor and best-selling author, has for years obscured questions about his personal wealth. His net worth is estimated to be between $40 million and $100 million, including lavish mansions, a $10.5 million residence in Houston, and another property valued at about $3 million. The most controversial point came during the COVID-19 pandemic. Lakewood Church applied for and received $4.4 million in loans from the PPP program, intended for struggling small businesses. Many saw this as a stark contrast to the fortune already amassed by the Osteen family. In addition, the distribution of the church budget also generated criticism. Although Lakewood manages about $90 million annually, only 1.3% of that amount, roughly $1.2 million, was earmarked for missions and charitable projects. Part of the controversy is aggravated by American legislation. Churches in the United States are not required to provide detailed accounts of their finances to the IRS, creating an environment of opacity that hinders transparency. Even with all the popularity and faithful followers, these financial issues cast shadows on Joel's image, raising debates about ethics, wealth, and responsibility within the ministry. In August 2017, Hurricane Harvey hit Houston with devastating force. While thousands sought shelter and assistance, Lakewood Church, led by Joel Osteen, remained closed during the early days of the disaster. The official justification said the building was flooded and unsafe, but images and videos shared on social media showed much of the church was dry and accessible. The perception that the congregation had not offered immediate help sparked public outrage. The hashtag #OpenLakewoodChurch quickly went viral, and celebrities, journalists, and residents harshly criticized the institution's stance. Tension rose as the church's action was compared to businesses and organizations that opened their doors immediately to help the community. Under intense pressure, Joel and his team finally decided to open Lakewood to serve victims and distribute supplies. But the decision came late after days of criticism and questioning. The episode had a significant impact on Joel Osteen's reputation, even with decades of work and millions of faithful. This moment was remembered as a failure of leadership in the midst of a humanitarian crisis, leaving marks difficult to erase in the public image of the pastor and his church. In addition to the Hurricane Harvey scandal, Joel Osteen and the Lakewood Church have faced other controversial episodes over the years. In 2014, a case drew attention. The family of an 18-month-old baby alleged that a church security guard had thrown the child during an event. The incident generated negative repercussions, and the situation was resolved with a $15,000 settlement, without admitting guilt. In 2011, another controversy arose involving copyright. An electronic band sued the church for using its songs without permission at an event. In court, Lakewood emerged victorious. But the episode reinforced criticism of the institution's attention to legal norms. Even with these shadows, the church has shown evolution in emergency situations. During Hurricane Beryl in 2025, the response was faster and more organized, demonstrating learning. Although the Harvey episode continued to affect Joel's public image. Another recurring point is security issues within the church. Reports of repeated failures to protect worshipers have raised concerns about event management and the safety of large crowds. These incidents, coupled with financial and theological criticism, show that despite their success and media influence, Joel Osteen and the Lakewood Church face ongoing challenges that test their leadership and reputation. On February 11, 2024, Lakewood Church was the scene of a tragedy that shocked Houston and the country. Janess Moreno, carrying an AR-15 rifle, entered the church accompanied by her 7-year-old son, Samuel. During the attack, about 30 shots were fired, spreading terror among the faithful. The shooting ended quickly, but with devastating consequences. Moreno was killed by the police intervention, but Samuel was seriously injured. He lost half his skull and part of his frontal lobe, facing a complex and painful recovery. The situation raised questions about security flaws. A woman with a known history of mental illness was able to legally acquire a high-powered rifle, exposing vulnerabilities in protecting public places. The episode also brought up systemic issues. Texas does not have effective red flag laws, which would allow for the preemptive removal of guns from people deemed to be at risk. This legal vacuum has sparked heated debates about gun regulation and safety in religious institutions. Even in a space focused on faith and hope, violence has shown its fragility in the face of human and legal crises. The shooting left deep marks on the community, turning Lakewood Church into a symbol of warning about the combination of guns, institutional vulnerability, and insufficient legislation. Between 2020 and 2025, Joel Osteen and Lakewood Church faced a period of visible decline. Multiple controversies, from financial issues to security lapses, have shaken public confidence. For many of the faithful, the brightness and positive message began to fade in the face of concrete incidents that questioned the leadership and transparency of the church. Demographics have also begun to change. Studies have shown that 16% of millennials and 15% of Generation Z have abandoned traditional churches in the United States, seeking more authentic and less performative spiritual experiences. They want real action, community engagement, and a sense of belonging, not just big shows or motivational sermons. This transformation exposed the vulnerability of Lakewood's aging attendee base without being able to consistently attract young people. The smaller, older audience has begun to reduce the church's impact on traditional and digital media. Even with the carefully constructed public image, the cracks have become evident. Joel Osteen's perfect smile could no longer hide the internal and external tensions. The future of Lakewood Church, once a sprawling empire, was uncertain, with challenges that would require profound adaptations to survive new expectations and cultural shifts. And that was our video about Joel Osteen's trajectory and the challenges he faces today. If you found it interesting, do not forget to comment below telling what caught your attention or which chapter surprised you the most. Also, click the like button to show that you liked the video and activate the notifications bell to receive our upcoming content firsthand. Stay tuned, because we will continue to bring you celebrity stories, trivia, and controversies that impact the world of entertainment and faith. Thanks for watching, and until the next video.